This is possibly the most unusual guitar I've seen so far today, but probably ever, let's be honest. We have here a archtop semi-hollow V. It's a JV in Case World. It's an incredible piece of work. It's not a shape I normally feel magnetized towards, let's say, but when you see this, that's just it's pretty crazy. It's got this quilted maple top, which, I mean, the shine on this thing, you know, it's going to be hard to pick that up on camera, I'm sure, but just look at it. I mean, and the stature and everything about this. Now, my mind always screams sort of heavy metal when I think of the Flying V, but obviously we know it was created way before heavy metal. This was about being futuristic. This was about being different, and it certainly is different. Now, we've got in here, again, bare knuckle pickups. These are called Rebel Yell. They're a pretty high output pickup, but they clean up nicely, which I'll show you. We have a push-pull here for single coil use. And need I say more about John's level of detail and work? This is just a beautiful thing. He hasn't obviously solved the fact that I find these quite uncomfortable, but he does tell me that if I wedge it between my leg here, you know, it works pretty well. So, let's do it. That's got some growl behind it. I've already forgotten the fact that it's wedged between my leg. It is comfortable once you know how to hold it. And I never knew that it would be comfortable, so that's really cool. But boy, was that sweeter than I thought it was going to be. It feels like it's always going to be on the edge of, you know, shouting at you, which is no bad thing. But let's try and clean it up. We're still on the neck pickup here. We'll start up again on full volume. Okay, so I've pulled that out, so it should be split now. Do you get the feeling that John might be quiet, but really he's not quiet? I think inside there is a screaming devil. I mean, with all of his instruments, you basically get the sweet, sweet sound as you just heard, all the way up to that great sort of... And again, we roll it back. You know what it is that John plays the guitar, and he has done for a long time. He's played live, I know that, and he's been around a lot of musicians. And his passion for guitars came from hearing music, not just from seeing the guitar. And from what he tells me, in fact, it was seeing the Beatles on television. Now, I think if you come from a musical standpoint to making instruments like this, then you always have in the back of your mind that these are there to be played. It's not just about technicality. It's not just about picking the nicest looking piece of wood. Everything combined together, even with an unusual instrument, one that I wouldn't normally veer towards, you can get the sounds that you need to make the music that you want. And that's the great thing about sort of mixing pickups, you know? We tested my 59 Les Paul reissue earlier, and it seems like they basically use the same pickup in both positions. And, you know, that's fine. It sounds great. But here, there's an excitement value that you get from drawing out a piece of music, from discovering that, you know, if you roll it back, it's clean, but it's also sweet and full. And, you know, the fact that this is semi-hollow, I think it's just a very, very interesting, unusual guitar. The other thing I've learned probably from playing this morning at John's here is that I've never really had a guitar set up properly until I've come down here. There's something about the ease of playing a guitar that's set up properly that I've obviously not known about. Your hand, it becomes more at one with the playing and with the instrument if it's set up correctly, and so that's opened my eyes a lot. I thought it was just one of those things, I'll battle against a high action, you know, it doesn't really matter, we'll figure it out sort of thing. But actually having it set up properly is it's really, really nice. If you haven't had your guitar set up, find someone who knows how it's done, or go on YouTube and find a video. And in fact, I think John and I will probably make a video about how to set it up quickly and easily, if that's possible, soon. But yeah, I really wanted to show you this instrument, even though it's not, for me, it's not something I've ever dreamt of owning at Flying V. But I'm sure loads of you out there are looking at this going, whoa, that is cool. So I think we've got one more guitar at least to show you, so stay tuned. Back in a second.
Great.
All right, so I have picked this one mainly because I had recently been looking for my own 335. In fact, that's been a sort of journey of mine recently since I got back into guitar playing. There's something mythical for me about people who play 35s. They always seem to be so musical. They always seem to be so down to earth. It's just one of those wonderful, wonderful classic instruments. John here has this wonderful example of what he calls J35. Clearly another take on a classic, but with the wonderful case sort of appointments and styles and thought process that goes into making a great instrument. This one doesn't have bare knuckle pickups. It has Throwback Pickups. I believe that's a company over in the US. They're making pickups on some original Gibson like winding machines. So that's very cool, I think. I picked this one out mainly because it's got this really low luster finish, this nitrocellulose low luster, which for me it looks very, very cool. I mean, I'd be quite worried that I'm just gonna scratch it up completely, but it's a beautiful, beautiful guitar. But really it just sounds so damn good. So I just want to play you a little bit. When I tested some Gibson 335s recently, I just found them a bit difficult to play. By that I mean the low end on it it was so heavy, the sound. So I think with this there's a bit more finesse, but we'll find out. Oh, one thing I don't know is, what is the centre block made out of?
That one is a Beachy.
Obechi.
Yes.
Obechi. Obesh, I think. Obechi?
Oh, is it? But yeah.
I might be wrong.
Is.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so it's not maple, which is what Gibson are made out of. Oh, and the other thing is the lightness of this, incredibly light. But let's listen to it. This is not quite what it appears to be. Look, isn't it a beautiful, tame, old-fashioned looking thing? Really, there's a beast inside here. I'm very quickly learning that that's what case guitars is all about, to me anyway. Incredible classic design. You know, the finesse, the beauty, the artistry. And then you let the bloody devil dogs loose when you start playing it. And that's so exciting, so much fun. It's just it's a different kettle of fish for me from the guitars I've been used to playing. Maybe there's one thing to say. Maybe in my head I've assigned a role to the Gibson Les Paul, so the Fender Stratocaster, Telecaster, everything. With these guitars, they're different enough whilst feeling familiar that I've got no preset ideas of what I'm going to do, what I'm going to play, what sounds I want to hear. So it opens up everything. Let's roll this back a bit, see what it sounds like. It just sort of beats all my stereotypes up and throws them out of the window. This could be all guitars for all people in one instrument. You'd be very happy with it, is all I can say about it. Now, I want to show you the little brother of this, which John calls the J25. So let me just plug that in. Okay, so I've got here the J25, which is really a smaller version of the J35. I love this shape, I love the feel, the weight is unbelievable, incredibly light. It hasn't got the low luster finish, it's got this beautiful high gloss. And really I want you to hear the sound, and we can compare. In fact, does it have the same sort of pickups?
It does actually, yeah.
Yep, same pickups, great. most well-behaved case guitar so far. I mean, maybe this is one for your grandmother. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful, beautiful old style, and it is really the baby brother, I think. Actually, it's got everything that the J35 has, but it's possibly a little bit more comfortable if you're a bit smaller. For me, that 35 is incredibly special. I think if I had to choose between the two, in the end, having played them both a couple of times today, I'd probably choose the 35 in the end. It's just got something, it wraps around you and it feels big, slightly more on both ends of the spectrum with frequency, I thought, while I was playing it. But this is really just, it is an equal instrument. It's a taste sort of thing. But this is gorgeous. But this might be the most, I hope John doesn't mind me saying this, this guitar maybe lived up to what I thought when I saw it more than any of the others. It maybe doesn't have the snarling secret lying behind it that I felt. But that could just be, now that I've heard quite a few of the guitars, I've sort of got used to it. Actually just be it's got a slightly different setup. Maybe the action isn't quite as low as on some of the other guitars. I might be wrong, but when I first saw this guitar, I just thought the high level finish on here, it just absolutely gorgeous. And that's one last thing to say about case guitars that I've discovered today is I actually know a guy that owns a case guitar who can't play the bloody thing. Which could be a sad thing. You know, there's this instrument sat there. But it's not a sad thing, because these things, without even making music, will turn heads. I'm sure at all the music shows that they've seen at, there's probably queues of people waiting to have a look and a play. Because the last thing I want to say before I let you go today is, if you're looking for an instrument that has the feel of, you know, an old friend, an old classic, but you want to breathe new life into what you're doing as a musician, then this is the place to come. If you want a guitar that fits you perfectly, where the final shape of the neck could be down to how exactly you want it, where all the finishes and everything you want, and then the pickups, which are the last piece of the puzzle that define your playing style probably, John is happy to play around with and meet your needs. This isn't an advert, as I said. I've just come here today because, you know, John's an old family friend, but, you know, all these years I'd not actually come to play his guitars. You know, I was stuck in this world of, I really want a Gibson, I really want a Fender, and I've played so many of those now, and they make some great instruments, but they certainly aren't making them for you. You know, they're making them for the mass, the crowd, and that's great. You know, I wanted my own Gibson Les Paul, and luckily I have got that. If you're looking for an instrument, though, that takes everything to the next level, yeah, John's the guy. So I'm going to be coming back here and making some other videos in future. There's a lot of interesting information I can get with John and learn lots and lots of interesting things about how these instruments are made. So if you find that sort of thing interesting, please stick around on the channel, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. I think it would be really great gratification for someone like John who... you know, he makes these instruments, they get sent out into the world, he does get great feedback. Oh, and the last thing I want to say, actually, again, I think it's the third last thing, is that Josh Smith, he's bought one of these instruments, and so is Ariel Posen. And for me, someone who's around on YouTube looking at what's going on, those are some pretty prominent players to have bought John's instruments, and I'm sure he's very proud of that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good day. Cheers.